Welcome to The Kid is in School, where we talk about whatever we want since our kid is not here to interrupt us. But we don't have a lot of time before the bell rings, so let's get right into it. Tax season should have a holiday attached to it. And you know what? This holiday should be known for drinking. Just like Mardi Gras or what's the other one we do? Is Fat Tuesday? That's the same thing.
Are you talking about St. Patrick's Day?
That's another good drinking holiday.
The one that just passed?
Yeah, because nothing bums this household out like tax season. First of all, you get very dour because you're the one gathering all the info to give to our tax service person. And
like,
and
even just the way you describe it is clear that you do not know what any of this is.
I don't.
The tax service person.
Well, my mom used to call H&R Block hit and run block, so she said just try to get a person you trust to do your taxes. So we found somebody that we like. But so in theory, it should be easy because he's doing all the work. But that's not true. First of all, the thing I don't understand about taxes is why we have to do a ton of the work. We're not even getting paid to do this work of gathering receipts, chasing down emails, finding W-2s, you know.
Yes, and it's probably more complicated for us than it is for somebody with a normal job.
Like a 9-to-5 corporate job?
Yes, one where they have one employer. Because we are essentially for contract hires, I guess you would call it, or 1099 employees. So we work at a lot of different places, sometimes in different countries.
Yeah, nothing was sadder to me than the year we owed like New York tax, LA tax, and Canada tax. And I was like, this is not cool.
Yeah, and you know, I'm performing in different states all the time, so it depends on how much I make in each state. We'll get, you know, all of it's just complicated enough that we have a tax man for that.
Right. So, but nevertheless, we're still doing work. We're still like,
oh yeah,
I feel like I'm an admin at the tax company.
Well, we aren't doing work.
No, but you still get on me about like, can you check this email? Can I have this password? Can you log into this? It disrupts my episodes of Murder, She Wrote. Mm-hmm. And the other thing that I don't like is that once it's all said and done, some people have like the best payday of their life. I have a friend who's going on vacation with her tax return. I've never experienced that with a tax return.
No, I would say based on what I am seeing, let's see, is going to McDonald's a vacation?
What am I doing wrong? What needs to change about my life? Just choosing to become a comedian mean I just have to hate tax day?
Well, I don't know that there's anybody that loves tax day. Like even the people that have the big returns, that means they overpaid.
So they had to live on like toast.
That's what the return is. It's like, it's not like free money. It's money that they overpaid in their taxes.
Oh.
And then the government goes, you overpaid. Here's your money back.
I can't believe, for all the people who don't trust the government, that we have this regularly in place where the government will give you money back that they owe you, and people are still have conspiracies about the government and not being able to trust it.
I mean, I guess you could say, how much should they be taking in the first place? Are they really giving you back what you're supposed to be getting back? That's what accountants are for, I guess, to figure all of this stuff out. But
maybe so. Oh gosh, yeah. So yes, one of my goals is to do the taxes, or at least gather all the tax stuff, so that you can take a vacation. But I don't think our return will be. I think you'll be heading to McDonald's.
Well, maybe. Also, a vacation. What does that even mean to a comedian that travels all over the country all the time? It's like, what is this vacation that would be somehow better?
Well, tell me, what's an ideal vacation for you? Because I get that being on an airplane is not exciting because you do that enough. And seeing a red lobster in a new state is not it's not remotely interesting.
No, but that does remind me when I was coming back from Boulder, Colorado this past weekend. I flew into Newark, and so you have to take a New Jersey Transit train. And there was a family there sitting across from me on the train. And the dad said to one of the kids, look, if we go to Red Lobster, you don't get to go to the something
like Lego store or something.
Something like that. It was something that was almost like a Chuck E. Cheese, but it's not Chuck E. Cheese. So just the playground part of that.
Oh, okay.
I forget how he phrased it, but it was not a term that you hear often. So it was kind of like, you don't get to go to the Play Store or something.
Play place.
Yeah, the Play Place. Maybe it was something like that. And I thought, Red Lobster? Like they're going into the Manhattan.
They're choosing between two.
To go to Red Lobster. Like that's their big outing, is to go to the greatest city in the world, as they say,
Uh-huh.
to go eat at the worst restaurant in the world.
You gotta check out the Cheddar Bay biscuits. You have to do a comparison. Are these very hard? Are they rather soft?
Well, there's got to be one in Newark. Like, you didn't even have to
There
take
really
the train.
does.
Just stay there. Like, fly into Newark, eat at that one.
That parking lot was full. That's why
Yeah.
they're on the train now, going into the city.
Yeah, well, it is funny to think about the way that different people live. Like, generally speaking, I will travel to some of these cities, and I will be like, yeah, not really interested. Boulder was actually a very interesting and kind of pretty city.
Yes,
Where I was
fresh
like-
air.
Fresh air. You could see the mountains, but you're not in the mountains.
Hmm.
The architecture and even like the what do you call street planning?
I call it city planning.
City planning. Well, just the way everything's laid out
Sure.
is it's almost like an LA look to some of the streets.
You mean the crosswalks are diagonal?
Well, I don't know. I was in a car, so I never went across.
That's the only thing I noticed about LA.
But well, there's a lot of bike lanes.
Okay.
But
LA does not have that. Oh, did they?
Okay.
Sorry,
I appreciate you're
trying
just
to tease you, but then you're just like, quit interrupting me.
no. I'm trying to describe something, and you're just getting off the rails. But like,
No, yeah, you're right. Go on.
so why don't you picture LA as I'm saying this, rather than just going no.
I am. I'm picturing like donut shops, palm trees, and then people riding alongside the highway on their bikes.
Well,
because they have a DWI or something.
You got to pick. LA is a very large, spread out place, so it's not. It doesn't look like the beach. You know, it's not like, oh, this is Venice Beach.
Right.
But there's an area, and I cannot remember where it is in LA, but they have an outdoor mall, and they had one of these in Boulder right around the corner from where I was performing.
Okay.
So it doesn't. It's not like, oh, this looks like LA. It's just more reminiscent of that kind of.
Right.
It doesn't look like Kansas City or something like that.
Sure.
It looks like, oh, the building
modern.
more modern, but also there's a vibe to it that is not just modern. It's kind of the building I was performing in, for example, Hotel how do they call it? It's not Bordello, but it's Boulderado, I think is what it is. So they combine.
a horrible
I think
name.
they combined Boulder and Colorado into Boulderado. But it's a beautiful building.
Boulderado.
Like, it's a really great space. Like where the comedy club is, it's very cool. It's more like the Comedy Cellar in that
Cool.
sense.
Okay.
Everything's like stone and brick, but it is not a place that you would find in Iowa City usually, you know, or like it's a very like unique kind of experience. But then there are plenty of cities that I've gone to where it's like, yeah, this doesn't appeal to me. It's very bland.
Yeah, I know that's true, but don't you think that there is a part of every single city that's unique looking and you just haven't stumbled onto it? You might just be in the outskirts.
Sometimes I'm sure there is. There are some places where it's like, I've gone to what everyone says, this is the place you go. This
you
is
have to go here.
Yeah, and it ends up being the Red Lobster. You know,
The Wawa.
yes. Well, yeah, Oklahoma City I think was like that. It was Oklahoma City or Tulsa. Everybody's like, oh, you got to go to the QT, and it's like, the QT, okay, the gas station, and they're like, yeah, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, we got gas stations everywhere.
This is the face people make to me when I extol the benefits of Dollar Tree. I'm like, there's everything there. And there are dupes of high-end things. Designer imposter fragrances. And people are like, okay.
Yes, that is.
It's like, it's
is
like
how
I'm talking
people
about
should be looking
keychains
at
at
you.
the gas station. They have little sombreros, little cacti. So I get that everything's played out, but you're not exactly the kind of person that goes exploring. You certainly don't try to solve murder mysteries when you go on tour. You're just there to do your job. I think to make things interesting, you gotta cook up some scheme for yourself.
Well, look, I do go. I've said this.
You
many
gotta run
times.
around a shopping mall looking for a kid you don't even have. You know what I mean? You gotta shake things
Thomas?
up. Thomas?
Thomas, are you here? Where did you go, Thomas?
Could you describe Thomas for us? And please, I'm looking for my son right now.
He looks like a kid.
So, yeah, I don't know. There's that. You could amuse yourself. I mean, you travel more than I do. So I think for me, I would just get tired of the loneliness. So I would either be chatting up people or, yeah, like popping into Dollar Tree and pretending I work there, I guess.
Well, I'm not gone very long. I don't know why you get consumed by loneliness for a 2-day trip. But
No, not while you're No, you mean if I were? I'm saying if I were you.
Yes,
In
I
a
know.
town, because it doesn't have my shower. It doesn't have my bathroom. What are you talking about? It's camping. Any place I am that's not my home. I don't know. I'm part hermit crab or something. I'm like, where's this wild place? Captain's log. It feels like 2001 Space Odyssey to me. The second I leave
Look,
familiar surroundings.
Some people are not made for the road, I guess.
That's true. And I used to travel a lot as a teen. I went abroad. I don't know what happened. What changed? Comfort. I stopped doing the grind and I started like amassing all the things that I like. I like this smell of lip gloss. Like everything's tailored to the individual in the United States. Yeah, like even these hangers in our closet are flocked. They're slim. They're a specific kind of hanger.
Yeah, well, I guess if it makes you comfortable, I couldn't care less.
Yeah, you don't.
Like, I don't.
You're not attached to these things.
I don't find these hangers particularly nice or interesting. I find them to be hangers.
They're amazing. They're missing a piece on the side so that you can put your T-shirt in without stretching the neck. How cool is that?
I guess that's cool.
Jeez.
First of all, I don't hang my T-shirts. Occasionally, you hang mine, and I'm like, "Why is this hanging on a hanger? This is what shirt I've been looking for."
That's the thing you tell yourself. I thought you would open the closet, see your hanging T-shirt, and go, no creases, no wrinkles. Now this is life. This is living.
No, not at all.
That's not what you say to yourself? Oh, that's too bad.
No, is that the story you've been telling yourself?
It is. I'm like, he'll appreciate me hanging this one up because he likes this T-shirt, and that's the one you can't find for a week. You think it's lost under the sheets somewhere. You're like, I know I left it here somewhere.
Did I leave it on one of my mini trips?
Well, I think that, now see, this is so funny because we started this conversation talking about travel, and I'm like, why don't you like to travel? And then we ended it with me being like, I don't want to leave my home.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe sometimes it's easier to see or want something for someone else than it is yourself.
Yeah, maybe it is. That's a good point. Like, you're a friendly guy. I would think you go out and be singing songs at a bar by the end of the night. First of all, you don't sing publicly and you don't like bars. So I don't know why you suddenly be into karaoke.
Drink. So that sounds like the worst place for me.
We make a fun pair.
You don't like to leave
What
the
do you
house?
like to do? Stay home? What's your husband do? Not much.
He goes out and
he
just
goes
stares.
out and just pretends to look for lost children.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess does that mean that you're super attached to this home that we live in now, that you're like, I just don't want to go anywhere else?
No. Home is where your signature fragrances are. That's all I have to say. It's all about...
It's not where the heart is. Signature fragrances can mean a lot of things in a lot of homes.
Yeah, well, I just mean...
There are some scents that I have definitely like, that is grandma's house.
Home is a feeling of safety. So, like you can either do what I've done, which is, create a little wall of tchotchkes that I love, or, you can travel with the people that you care about. Or you can, do a deep dive into your own job and get really passionate about the work you do. And then it doesn't matter where you are as long as you're able to do your career. Like public speakers, for example. They go town to town, but they're changing lives.
Are they? They're changing their lives.
I don't know. Whose advice do you take, if not motivational speakers?
I suppose people that are experts in their field.
You like listening to a podcast and finding an expert?
Well, I guess that's one way to do it. There's books, there are videos, there's TED Talks, but motivational speakers, their idea is to motivate you to actually go do these things. So if you already have motivation to do things, they're not actually providing you expert advice on anything other than getting up and doing something.
I suppose, but really I think motivational speakers are there to motivate you to spend your money on more of their advice. So,
Yeah.
So
I'd
if
like
you
to
haven't done
motivate
that,
you to separate your money from your wallet.
Yeah. You got to see through the message. No, I like advice from self-help books. Like it doesn't matter what the title is. If the concept is how to improve, I'm just like, yeah, let's check out your method. I like to read self-help books, but I don't like TED Talks, even though they seem interesting. They have the very clickbaity titles, but I don't know, 5 minutes in, if I'm not enjoying the presentation, I just don't finish it.
The truth is, I don't listen to TED Talks either. Like, I have no interest in TED Talks.
I just want to do one so I sound like an expert.
That doesn't appeal to me at all.
Oh, really?
No, I think that it's one thing if I was doing a special and I'm doing a comedy special, and performing and getting laughs, but a TED Talk just seems to be, let me talk about this thing. So if I was doing a TED Talk on stand-up comedy, it's almost like, let me do all of the boring talk about something that is generally funny all of the time.
Right. I definitely think you'd have to make it funny. You can't be a professional comedian and have a TED Talk and go 30 straight minutes without making
TED Talk
people
on
laugh.
comedy by a professional comedian.
Gets
and
no
wasn't
laughs.
funny at all.
He's bums the whole time. But yeah, I don't know what the appeal is now that you've described it that way. But you identify very heavily with being a comedian. And even though I naturally am funny and I like to make people laugh, that's not... I much rather have people think I'm super smart and important.
I guess I don't care about those things. Funny is definitely number one.
So TED Talk is the dream. Comedy special is the, I'll settle for that.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm exaggerating. I'm using hyperbole.
That's part of being a comedian. Just to
Hyperbole.
exaggerate. So you would be willing to leave this house and you would go somewhere else, but...
To move. Yeah. I mean, I could move. Yeah, I could move. That's different than traveling. I think traveling is you're stuck with tiny version of your toothbrush, tiny version of your toiletries. There's just something about it that's not as good. It's kind of like you've been demoted when you have to travel. Versus moving, you take everything with you that you want to, within reason. And the funny thing about, I think we've said this before on the podcast, every time you and I have moved apartments, we just leave behind everything that's in them because we got most of it for free anyway. Or it's like really cheap furniture.
Yeah.
So we don't know the pain of moving.
Well, the thing is, we've been in here for our entire marriage. And I think what makes it more difficult to move is the fact that we've accumulated. Is that a type of cloud?
I
think that's when you accumulate cloud and humiliate at the same time.
So we've accumulated too many things.
We've got so much stuff, and this
place is tiny. It doesn't have that much stuff.
Oh, it's a lot of stuff to think about moving, but it's not impossible. It's not a 4-bedroom, 3-car garage type of house where we've got tons and tons of stuff, but that is the harder part of moving. I think when we were younger and didn't have anything, I moved to New York with 2 suitcases.
Wow.
And that was it. That was all the stuff I moved with. And that's because I was, a kid that didn't have anything. So I didn't need to move with anything. I left a lot of stuff behind my parents' house for years. But...
I had a big trunk full of shower curtain rings. And I made my way here by selling some.
That's it. See, and you came with nothing but cash because
That's right.
You're such a great salesman. Number one shower.
I lost my wife in the process, but otherwise it was, I didn't have too many bags.
Yeah, but you like you. And that's the big part.
You're messing with the wrong guy. I think I'm really surprised that you haven't just taken all of the many shoe boxes full of nail polish that I own and just thrown them away and pretended we got robbed. Like one day I thought you'd do that by now.
That would be an interesting crook that came in and just took nail polishes.
Well, you'd have to get rid of something else, but it couldn't just be my stuff.
Well, that's the thing. I don't want to get rid of my stuff.
Yeah, you couldn't part with anything of yours, could you?
This person was very specific.
They took all my baby pictures from my awkward teen years? That's so strange.
All of those. They took the nail polish, the makeup, they took the hangers, those really nice hangers.
They took that jar of mayo I was having a really hard time finishing. Gosh, these crooks were ruthless, heartless.
So I guess the hardest part of moving would be just getting up and transferring your life to a different location.
Okay, well, I hear you about this stuff, and if I really want to ever move, I'm going to make sure I've decluttered more. I've been decluttering look at my closet. All of my seasonal clothes are together in one clump because I don't believe in winter storage and summer storage anymore. So that's something that's changed about me. We don't have more than 2 sets of bedding anymore because all these extra pillowcases and mismatched towels, I threw them out. So I do try to whittle things down that are redundant unless it's body creams because there is a cream for every single piece of your body. I'm surprised there's not earlobe cream yet.
I'm surprised you don't have it. That is funny because you do have a tendency to whittle down your clothing.
Yes.
You've always kind of had that.
I've been great at that.
Yeah, but that's the only thing you really declutter.
I just said bedding, sir. You just
Well,
don't understand.
It's all
Cups,
in the fabric.
Look in the
realm.
flatware. It's not. It's. Ugh, this is gonna bore you to tears if I tell you everything I've done.
Well, that's what we want
the
for
list
a podcast
is long,
audience, is to bore them to tears.
The list. No, I didn't say them. They're riveted. I meant
right.
you. I'm not gonna waste your time telling you everything I've improved until it's a fight. You know, when we're in a big fight, then I'll list it very, very dramatically, like Alec
imagine.
Baldwin in Death of a Salesman.
Well, I could
always be decluttering.
I do think that if I pictured you in your ideal state, and none of my stuff here, it's just your place, no kid, I could picture you having 3 outfits, 1 set of sheets, and 1 fork, 1 plate, and the rest of the house is just nail polish.
So much nail polish, I have it in a basket I'm balancing on my head in addition to around. By the way, I meant Glengarry Glen Ross, not Death of a Salesman, but I think you got what I was saying.
Yes, I get. Well, yeah, I was going to say nobody even dies in Glengarry Glen Ross, so it's not even like you'd be like, well, at the end.
But
what they don't tell you is that Alec Baldwin died in that.
Let me see what I think you would look like if you were a bachelor. Oh, honestly. Goodness. Okay, for some reason, I think the only reason you empty the sink is because I don't do it. So I think if you lived alone, you wouldn't empty the sink as often as you do. So
not a chance. I
either that or you would be eating out of like bag of chips. You wouldn't put it in a bowl. You would just eat out of the bag, eat the cereal out of the box. Yeah, I know you. Wow. And so then this is bachelor you, remember. Like imagine I have taken our daughter on a 6-week world tour. You're 6 weeks at home. You don't think you'd devolve? You would.
No.
You would stop showering completely.
That is incorrect. Number one, I find dishes disgusting.
You wouldn't get any sleep. Okay, you're not allowed to rebut until I'm finished.
All right.
You wouldn't. Okay, fine. You'll do dishes, I suppose. You'll let the dishwasher do the dishes, but you will not get any sleep at all. You'll stay up all night doing your video games, and then sleep in. Okay, you will get sleep, but it'll be during the day. Imagine you don't have dogs, okay? Because I think if you lived alone, you wouldn't own dogs anymore. That was like a joint venture for us to pretend we had kids, and then we had a real kid, and then we both were like, wow, these dogs, they're a lot.
It is a lot to have a dog, and then 2 of them. And
wow, they're so good, though. Like, now that they're senior dogs, they're like therapeutic to me. They're so slow and mushy and sweet.
And having more physical ailments.
They do, which makes me feel empathetic. So anyway, yeah, I think you would... You'd be watching all the horror films ever. You wouldn't have a lady in the house telling you, like, how can you watch this? This is disgusting. This is going to give you PTSD.
Yeah, I do think that. So the dishes you were not spot on, but you were spot on with the video game. I think I would stay up watching television or playing video games. I would stay up much later than I do because I have a family. Like I already stay up till like midnight, 1.
I know. I always feel like you stay up too late and you get up too late, and you don't even get up that late. 8:30, 9.
No, before marriage, I was staying up probably all the way through college and everything. I would stay up until I could not physically stay up anymore. Like my body would just be. I gotta sleep.
Is that insomnia or is that anxiety?
No, all growing up. I don't know if I've talked about this in the podcast or not, but I hated going to bed. Going to bed felt like punishment. Mm-hmm. So I didn't want to go to bed ever. I had a bedtime, like probably most kids have bedtimes. Mine always felt too early. Mm-hmm. Like it was like 7 p.m. and it was
still light out.
It would be still light out.
Oh, goodness. The light's coming through the blinds.
Right. And there was a time where I was looking outside my window, and this was the 4th of July, and I still had to go to bed at 7. It's kind of dusk, and I'm looking out on my neighbors. Their grandchildren were over, and they were playing fireworks out in the backyard and stuff, and I was looking at them like, oh, why can't I do that?
Sarah McLachlan music plays, panning close
Very
to
sad.
you.
So as I got older and I could stay up later, probably in high school is when, my bedtime wasn't 7 p.m. when I was in high school, but I think, I'm not sure if I even had a bedtime in high school, but, it got later as I got older. Mm-hmm. I remember TGIF night, Friday night, was the night as a maybe 8 to 10 to 12-year-old kid that was like, I can stay up till 10 o'clock.
That's right.
And if I don't say a word, if I kind of just quiet, I'll stay up till 11 because Dad will just like let it go into 2020.
Yeah, I'm Hugh Downs.
Yes.
And I'm Barbara Walters. And this is 2020.
Exactly. And so, but if I made a noise or I started like talking, he'd be like, "Hey, aren't you supposed to be in bed?" So it was part of like this, the game of just not, of staying up. And so high school, I would stay up late, but then I had to get up so early for whatever high school. You got to get up at 6 a.m. or 6:30 to get to
speech
school
and debate team or something?
Oh,
just school.
School starts at 7:30, I think,
Woo.
in high school.
That's rough.
So maybe I woke up at 7 or something like that, took a quick shower and went to school.
I must have blocked that out of my mind.
And then college was just, well, nobody's telling me I have to go to bed, so I just stay up and watch Comedy Central and, stand-up comedians.
Oh my gosh. I have a distinct memory of ordering Chinese food at 3 a.m. because I could. I was like, these places are just open and nobody's going to tell me not to? And I just did it. And, oh, it felt great.
We would order Mad Mushroom Pizza was the name of the place in Bloomington. And I feel like nowadays Mad Mushroom would mean something completely different than this. But this
it's still called Mad Mushroom over there. They just do something different.
Yeah, they
with
don't
the
sell pizza anymore. And that was fun for us. We would stay up, and that's when I started getting that thing of like, I just don't want to go to bed because everything felt like it happened after bedtime. So all the fun stuff, all the good stuff, and so.
But were you outside of your house ever doing stuff?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes I take walks around campus or whatever.
Yeah, but you weren't out playing billiards or billiards.
Billiards.
Shooting pool. Sorry,
Yes.
I forgot which country I was in for a second.
Billiards. Also, like this is something college kids would do in like the late 1800s. We play video games all night. Like
you weren't a roustabout?
We'd play. I lived in a house with guys, and we would play
foosball, I'm guessing, or video games.
Actual video games like Mario Kart, GoldenEye, Bond, all that stuff. So
gotcha. That's the action that was happening at night that you couldn't do during the day for some reason.
Couldn't do that during the well, people worked and or had classes or had to do their homework. So at night was kind of like when everybody would unwind. Same way with adults. Like Dad, he worked all day long, and then he would come home at dinner time, and then we would have television time after dinner, and that's kind of like when everything would happen. Mm-hmm. So that's true of most adults, is that after, at least in the evening time, is when they unwind.
Yeah, it is, but only for a few hours, not till like the wee hours of the morning, because you'll hear people north of 40 talking about, I don't know how I can keep my eyes open after 11.
Now, some people, there are people that even starting in college were like, I love sleep. And I'm like, I don't. I don't love sleep. I don't care about it.
You hate people that love sleep the way I hate people that love water.
Yeah. What's
I'm
right?
Like, ew.
Like, I know I need it, but what? I don't love it.
Quit bragging.
Yeah. So I've never been that guy. So yeah, I probably would stay up very late, and I would sleep in late, and my whole day would be shifted.
Yeah. I don't like waking up too late. It just felt groggy. I know I did it in my teens, like for 2 years out of my teenage years. I just felt like I'm a real authentic teen here. But it was in the summertime when I didn't have anywhere to be. No camp, no job yet. It's like the early summer, and yeah, there's nothing on TV but Brady Bunch for some reason. So I'm just like, nah, I'm just gonna snooze.
No, my dad never liked me sleeping in.
Oh yeah,
he's always was an early bird.
Parents hate that. They still, even my peers complain about their older kids sleeping in. I'm like, let them sleep.
No, I wish our kid would sleep in. Let's all sleep in. Let's all stay in bed and not get up.
It must flip.
At least 9.
She wants to stay up late to hang out with us because she feels left out. And then when the teen starts sleeping in, the adult feels all lonely. And they're like, why don't you go wake up so we can talk?
Maybe.
I have nobody to share the news with.
Well, I do feel like our daughter, I feel a connection with her. It's like, I get it. When she's like, I don't want to go to bed. I don't like sleeping. I'm like, I know. Mm-hmm. I get it. I need you to sleep, and you need to sleep because it's a health issue. You need to make sure you're healthy, but I get it. I know why you don't want to go to bed, and I wouldn't want to go to bed if I were you either.
She's not missing out on much. just me rearranging bottles on my desk. But I mentioned going out at night because you're like, yeah, the night comes alive, but you're inside with your friends, like bonding and having fun. I'm worried now about going out, not at night, but just in general, because women are getting punched in the back of the head in New York City. Now, I heard they caught the guy or people who were doing it, so I'm a little late on this. on being anxious about it. But now I'm like, well, what if there's a copycat criminal?
Yeah, I don't know.
That was funny to me.
I feel
copycat.
like yes, I feel like it's not. This guy's not unique in punching,
right?
So I think there's been many people who've punched others as a crime. So
yeah, it's not exactly an epidemic. It's just that many people were TikToking about it around the same week. But like probably statistically, cops get called all the time for physical assault. Like, somebody punched this guy in a McDonald's. No, it's at a Waffle House and
he's
Burger King.
Copycatting other people. It's been going on for generations of copycatting.
What about the copycat killers who copycat the copycat killers?
I feel like there is a movie about that.
There better be, and if there's not, I'm gonna write it.
Yeah, it's very bad.
So yeah, I just think it sucks because then you start to think, and I'm taking this seriously. Like, if you really want to worry about all the crazy things that could happen to you in a metropolitan area, not just New York City, but just in a big city, the possibilities are endless. Like I've been here for so many years, and I still don't stand close to the subway edge. Or if I do, like if my feet touch the little textured yellow part that notifies you you're getting close to the edge, I look to my left and I look to my right, and I'm like, who's going to do it? Who's going to try to push me?
Yeah, I have a friend, well, you know him too, Troy, he won't keep his back to the people. Like
Smart.
He'll have his back to the train, so that because he's like, nobody's pushing me in this. So
do you know why I don't face away from the train? Because I saw an Unsolved Mysteries a long time ago where a woman got hit in the back of the head with guys who were taking a 2x4 and smashing mailboxes. So either they didn't see her or they did and they hit her, but she was a vegetable for the rest of her life. Like she lived through it. It was one of the scariest stories I ever heard. And I thought, all because she didn't see them coming. So now if I know a train's coming, I'm just picturing the conductor happens to have a 2x4 hanging out for some reason. He's been to Lowe's and he wants to make a birdhouse later at home. And so, so I always make sure that I can see the train when it's coming and I look around me. And if I don't see the person I think is going to be the one that wants to push me, I just gravitate towards the metal support beam anyway. And I'm like, you're not going to get the chance. And I lock my legs.
Just hold on to whatever metal grating around the staircase.
I say, do your worst.
You don't want them to do their worst. Not in New York City.
Oh my gosh, that is the truth. I didn't tell you this, but I was going to walk to the train, and I ended up walking to my destination because the train was roped off, and it said, closed for the weekend, whatever. But on the landing, past the yellow tape, was a giant number 2. It was not an animal that did it, I tell you. It was a person. And I like the thinking of that person going, well, there's not going to be anybody down here, so I got all the privacy I need.
I thought maybe they're just like, it was so big, they're just like, this is closed for the weekend.
Yeah, it could have. It could have been.
We can't even get anybody to come in here and clean this up on the weekend.
That was my next thought. Like, who's going to take care of that? Jeez, the rain. You just got to hope that it'll flood again.
There's a lot of that stuff. Well, the thing is, like, all the metropolitan or urban fears and crimes don't scare me too much. Mm-hmm. It's always the things that are out in the rural areas where it's dark and nobody's around to help you.
Right. And they're bored, so they could do anything they want.
They're bored and they're creepy.
Yep.
And it's all the serial killers that always seem to be out there. Every monster movie, they're out in the woods.
Or a Walmart parking lot.
Yeah, it's always that. It's never, in the middle of Times Square, there's a monster,
No, I agree.
Those are like the giant floods or Godzilla comes in those and destroys that kind of area.
Whenever I think about the lone serial killer, like you're talking about, the weirdo that's waiting in the woods for somebody, I always think, what's it like for them to wait hours on end for little old me to come by? Because I've been inside most of the day, and now I'm coming out, and then I think, I don't think they're out there. It's too cold, or it's too wet.
That's what made him go crazy, that all the time waiting.
When is she getting here? Yeah. She's horrible with her time management.
Oh, man. Well, it's almost, I feel like we've teetered on the edge of grievances here, just with things that we do and don't like, complaints. One thing that's been kind of bugging me, this is, we've had airing of grievances before.
It's time for the airing of grievances already. Okay, I'm ready.
But this is airing of grievances towards a non-family member.
Okay,
this is
so great. I'm off the hook. You're not mad at anything I've done this week.
No, this is what it's been driving me crazy.
Yeah.
Is that we've got like just different comments underneath videos that I will post because I'm comedian Luke on everything, and so I post a lot of stand-up clips.
You do.
And
you're a powerhouse of posting.
You could call it that. Sure, I'll take that. That's a no grievance in that. And so, most of the comments usually are very good, or they're making their own joke, and I'll joke back and forth. Mm-hmm. Occasionally, though, there are people where it's like, where did you even come up with this comment?
Like it doesn't even pertain to the video.
No, it doesn't. Like, here's an example. Like, I have a video about having old parents. Mm-hmm. So it's just about, my parents having me later in life. Mm-hmm. And we're talking about this video is no more than 30 seconds long. It's just a piece of this overall bit. Mm-hmm. And somebody wrote a comment, said, I bet he left the Midwest because he's leftist. Mm-hmm. And then they followed it up with, he isn't funny either.
But the joke doesn't say, I left the Midwest.
No.
It has no...
It has nothing to do with it.
So either this guy is a private investigator or he knows you.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is he watching multiple videos of mine and goes, mm-hmm. I moved from the Midwest? Like, that's all I can think of is this person is falling. So it's like, if I'm so unfunny, why are you watching you hate watching my videos?
Hate watching.
Is that what you're doing? Also, it's such a hacky thing to say to a comedian is he isn't funny. Mm-hmm. Or if like sometimes you'll have a heckler at a club, very rarely, but sometimes it doesn't matter who the comedian is. Mm-hmm. Every comedian's had this version of a heckler, which is, you aren't funny. And it's like everyone else in this room is just dying laughing.
Right. It almost, it goes against reason to make that your insult.
Yes. And it's like this person who goes, he isn't funny either. It's like, okay, that's fine if you don't find me funny.
Mm-hmm. Not funny to you.
Yeah, but come on now. Like this particular video's got 13,000 views on YouTube. Short. It's a short. So it's mm-hmm. It's not 1 million views, but it's, it's got lots of people enjoying it, people subscribing from these videos. So somebody's finding it funny.
Ooh, I thought of a good comeback. You know what you write underneath his? You're not funny.
You're not funny. No, you're not funny.
Because he's literally not being funny right in that moment. And it's like, what do you got?
Yeah, I think...
Make me laugh.
I just put 4 laughing, rolly emojis.
Oh, that's generous.
And I said, yeah, that's it. Like, you nailed it.
Okay, yeah. Jan. Sure, Jan. There's a GIF. Yeah. I think, I hate to say it, but I've been that guy. I don't call people out of being like, you're not funny. But I have not fought the urge to say something I really think needs to be said, even though I know nobody will agree with me. And let me tell you the story.
In the comment section.
In the comment section. Someone sent me a viral video of a dog running onto a soccer field, and then one of the players picks him up and takes him off the field. And I looked through the comments hoping that someone will say what I was thinking, but everybody's like, this is hilarious, classic dog behavior, I love dogs. And I was like, that's not how you hold a dog. Doesn't anybody know that that's bad for the dog's chest and breathing area? And because I think he was just holding him by the upper arms but not cradling the legs. And so I said, sorry to be that person, but this is a very dangerous way to hold a dog. And if anybody watching this thinks that they should do that with their own, they are sorely mistaken. And I waited for the trolling to come in, and it never did. So I assumed they just deleted my comment immediately.
Yeah, they're like, oh boy.
Owners of the platform said, no, ma'am.
Which, now hearing this, I didn't realize I actually am airing grievance towards you. Why would anyone post comments like this? And
it's full circle. No, you never had that time where you just had to say something online to somebody that was getting your goat?
I think that I've gotten past that.
Yeah.
Because, when I started posting videos of my stand-up, maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, because it was a very hard thing to even get that up, because we grew up in an era where in comedy where you're not supposed to put your material out, you're not supposed to put that stuff, you're supposed to make people want to come see you live, and so it needed to be a special, or it needed to be something fully,
yeah, it was, the production value had to be high.
Yes,
nobody wants to see your little rinky-dink video of yourself in a club,
and that's changed all now, so I had to adapt. And so with that adaptation, I started getting, because there'd be lots of videos that people liked, and then there'd be a few comments like this guy, you're not funny, or a lot of it always, it goes back to this guy going, it must be a leftist, or they'd call me liberal, I
love how that's supposed to be an insult, by the way.
Well, also,
must be a different political stance than my own. Ha!
Right, and it's like, but none of these videos have anything to do with that. So it's like,
yeah,
somebody else put something like, because I had something about old people shouldn't vote, was like we should have an age limit on that. That was the joke.
It's true.
And somebody wrote, I'm 64 and I, pound your candy, whatever. It's like,
you made Stone Cold Steve Austin mad?
I did, yes. I'd open a can of, whatever. And I'm like, I just think it's funny because, first of all, I didn't say 64.
Right. You could have been implying 82, 88.
Yeah. You've decided that 64 is old.
Uh-huh.
Also, the idea that you could take me out, it's like, unless you are Brock Lesnar, no, you're not. Like, you're not doing that. Like,
doubtful, sir.
Very doubtful. Like,
unless you're on HGH.
Yes. But it goes back to something I've said on the podcast before. I am a much bigger person than people think when they look at my video. I think they look and go, this guy's one of those Hollywood 5'2", tiny guys that, likes to run his mouth. And then they get up next to me and it's like, oh, this guy's a fairly large man.
Good for Happy Gilmore. My God. As you stand up over them.
Yeah.
Don't be fooled by the glasses, folks.
Mm-hmm.
He's a tough cookie. You're actually the person I know in New York City that's gotten in the most physical altercations of all the people. You're not even a brawler. You don't start no stuff.
So apparently I have a punchable face, and I'm the one that should be worried about the guy going around hitting people, not you.
Thanks for joining us today. If you had a great time, let us know on social. Follow Kid is in School on Twitter and The Kid is in School on Instagram. Subscribe so you don't miss our next episode. Be sure to throw us one of those 5-star ratings and share with your friends. Oh, and do it quickly before the kid gets home.